Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Getsome podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Ooh, what up, everybody? This is Gary with the Getsome podcast. Just a second. There we go. Hope everybody's having a great week. I'm having a great week. I am in Orlando this weekend. We sold out 9 shows, so we added a 10th. So I think the only way you can see me is 4:00 on Sunday. That's it. Great week. As you can see, rocking the Rudy J, the throwback Bengals jersey, because the Bengals. Oh, I was off last week. It was Thanksgiving, so I didn't want to intrude on everybody's turkey eating. But what a way to end Thanksgiving, baby! Joe Burrow came back, destroyed the Ravens. Now we got the Bills. And the defense is playing better. Nobody's saying anything about the Bengals offensive line. It's just a good time to be a Bengals fan. And we are we're basically in the playoffs now. We basically have to win the next 5 games, 3 playoff games, 8, and then the Super Bowl 9. Our playoffs are right now. None of this, we got to win out. We got to win 4 or 5. No. The Bengals playoffs start this weekend against Buffalo. That's how I'm looking at it. It's a playoff game. Every week's a playoff game. Let's see if we can rattle off 9 in a row. If that happens, Joe Burrow's the GOAT. Well, maybe Brady and Mahomes, but then he's on Mount Rushmore. I think if you win 9 in a row and you're undefeated, because he's undefeated. He's 3-0. So I remember last year when he got hurt, and they lost the ball, or 2 years ago when he got hurt, that loss to Baltimore was on his record, even though he only played 1 series. And he led the Bengals to a score the 1 series he was in. But then they lost, so that went on Joe Burrow's record as a loss. And I go, that doesn't, and people was like, well, he was only 5-4. I said, he was 5-3. That last game didn't count. You could say the same thing about the game he got hurt. He beat the Browns. He beat the Ravens. But that Jacksonville game, he was only in a couple series, but he got the win. So it kind of balanced out that Ravens loss a couple years ago. So that was good. He got that. So, yeah, just a good time. So I had a great week last week. We sold out 2 shows in Detroit. Thank you to everybody that came out at Motor City Casino. We was in Hammond, Indiana. We hit that snowstorm, and people still came out. It cleared up in time for the show. It's interesting, though, like, when weather plays a factor in a show, you try to give some consideration to the fans, but then you can't win as an artist when weather hits, because I had so many people message me either on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, because a snowstorm hit Chicago the morning of my show. And good thing was in Chicago, they know how to handle the roads. They're used to this, but it was the first big snowstorm this year. And some people were hitting me up like, is the show still going on? I was like, yeah. Other people hit me up like, you should cancel it. The weather's too bad. It ended up, the roads weren't that bad. You just had to drive slower. But one guy sent me like 10 messages like, like I'm just insensitive to fans. I'm just a money grabbing, greedy celebrity. I'm going, no. I go, dude, people paid to go to the show that night. Yeah, your hour drive might be an hour and a half. I understand that. Keep in mind, I was in Detroit the night before. I canceled my flight because one of my openers, Adam, his family's from Detroit. He said, I'm going to drive to Chicago. It's a 4-hour drive. So I canceled my flight and I rode with Adam. It took us 6 hours to get to Chicago from Detroit. I should have just stayed on my flight, but it is what it is. We all go through stuff. Once we got to Chicago, though, it was a 30-minute drive from Chicago to Hammond. The roads were clear. The snow was done. It's just the initial snow that morning slowed things down. But I understand where he was coming from, but dang, he started attacking me like I'm some greedy dude. I said, no, I'm trying to make sure the people that did drive slow, that did come from out of town, flying from out of town, that did, this might have been a Christmas or birthday present to somebody. I want to make sure they're happy. So if I got to drive slower and leave early and make sure the show still goes on, that's what we do. And we held the show. We held the show about 15, 20 minutes. We knew people were going to come in a little later. And I had all my openers go a little longer. So that way I made sure when I got on stage, the show was at 8. I didn't hit the stage till like 9:15, 9:20. I want to make sure everybody had a chance to get in, get settled, get a drink, and you're ready to go. So we were considerate of the weather, but you can't make everybody happy. So can you imagine if I were to cancel? Because there wasn't any empty seats. So that's like 3,000 people that made their way to the venue and figured it out. And one guy who bought tickets, I'm sorry, dude, just got to look at it from both sides. You can't win as an artist. That's what it is. You can't make everybody happy. But it got me thinking, like, I've been getting a lot of messages on social media the last couple months, really positive, uplifting messages, like people are in a dark place and they've come across my reels, and I've, just helped them out of a dark place or had some kind of surgery, physical ailment. They couldn't get out and they just got wind of me, and I got in there. Once you start pumping a comedian or a singer or something, you get in the algorithms, their stuff just starts pumping up on your feed. And those messages mean freaking the world to me. I wish I could repost all of them. A lot of times I don't, because I want to respect people's privacy. So, but I just want everybody to know I do read most of the messages. I don't see all of them, but like if I'm alone in a hotel, I'm scrolling, I'll just go to my messages on Facebook or stuff like that and, check them out. I don't really get DMs on IG anymore. I kind of blocked it. I just was getting too much craziness. And I just was like, nah, I'm just going to block the DMs unless we have some correspondence in the past. Any new people, I was getting some wild stuff. I was like, I don't want to deal with this no more. So, but Facebook, you still message me, Twitter and TikTok, you still message me, but Instagram got weird. So, yeah, but I had a lady in Cleveland come up to me and she said something to me that just jarred me. She came up, she goes, this is my bucket list. She goes, I wanted to see you and I want to go to Hawaii. She goes, she got some kind of cancer and she had 10 months to live. And I just went, oh my God. I was just like, wow. Before she told me Hawaii, she goes, you were on my bucket list. I said, oh, that's awesome. She goes, yeah, I got cancer and I only got 10 months to live. And she goes, so the two things I want to do, I want to see you live and I want to go to Hawaii. And I was like, well, I'm glad I could fulfill half your bucket list. And then, when it was all said and done, I look back and go, dang, hope she gets to Hawaii. I didn't get her name or nothing like that. And I don't know what is the truth or not. I don't think she was lying. I think that would be some cold stuff. But there's so many. That's the bad part about society today. You don't know what's real and what's not. I mean, you've seen the Black Lives Matter movement, how a lot of people were scamming off that. When Haiti had the hurricanes, a lot of people were scamming off that. There's so many different ways that people just scam people and get over. That's the sad part. You don't know what is real or not. I don't think this lady was lying. She looked like very sincere when she said it to me. So to the woman out there, I hope you get to Hawaii. Tag me if there's some way I can help facilitate that and make that happen. I don't know if I could, whatever. We'll see what we can do. But the lady in Cleveland, if you're out there and somebody watches this podcast, you're doing the meet and greet and everything happens so fast. And the meet and greet lines are ridiculous after my shows. And, so you're taking the picture, you're trying to give that person a moment with you to talk. Cause some people, they like to tell you like, hey, you're my son's favorite, or this is my birthday present. So you want to give them a minute or so of your time to have that little interaction. I don't want to take the picture. Yeah, keep it moving. So you try to do that. So when she hit me with cancer, 10 months to live bucket list, I was like, oh my God, I'm glad I could help you fulfill half your wishes. But then after the meet and greets over, I go, man, the softy in me is like, I wish I would have, did more, I mean, if listen, this woman paid money to see me, bucket list, Hawaii. And I don't think she was saying it for me to say, oh, I'll get you to Hawaii. Because, I've had so many people hit me up after I helped pay for the guy's wife's funeral. I mean, it was the DMs and the messages were a little overwhelming after a while. Well, since you're doing that, can you do this? Since you do that, can you do this? And I'm going, oh my gosh, it was a lot. And so with this lady, I don't think she was telling me that to get that reaction of me like, hey, I'll send you to Hawaii. But yeah, if anybody knows her, anybody could, I know it sounds bad, but, validate her story and see what we can do to get her to Hawaii. She was in Cleveland at the Improv 2 weeks ago. That's the extent of what I know. But if anybody sees her, I did hear. I want to thank her for coming out, and I'm glad she had a great night of laughter, and I hope she just gets to 10 months and just keeps going. Hope she looks back in a couple years from now. They told me I got 10 months. It's 2 years later. I've heard stories like that. So, yeah. Speaking of stories, Druski, he's the GOAT of the sketches. He really is. This isn't a knock to all the other people, and I've said this before, but every time he comes out with something, I'm like, so Druski's latest one, I feel like my podcast, every time Druski has a skit, I come on and pump it. So he did the one this last week of the guys with the bad hairline. They take off their hat and there's no hair up here. And if they put their hat on, they're like 25. They take it off, they're 55. And, not to throw my boy under the bus, but I've told this story before, and now I got to tell it again because Druski came up with the sketch that happened to me in real life with my boy. Hold on. Just 1 second. Hold on. If you ever see me typing, like, when I do my podcast, I got my cell phone here with notes, and I got a couple words that gives me topics I want to talk about, or maybe I want to talk about during the podcast. So if you ever see me doing that, it's because I got ADHD, and I'm going on my phone like I don't want to forget this. So Druski did a sketch about the guys that take their hat off and they age 30 years because they got the George Jefferson or the patchy hair on top. And he just kills it. It's so accurate. He does the simplest things that just kill it. So probably 15 years ago, I was in Temecula, California, had a show at the casino out there. They had an after party for me. Me and my road manager, Brad, went to the after party. Every time I had seen Brad, he had a baseball hat on and a Scully on underneath it. And we go to the after party, and the door guy was like, no hats, no hats. And Brad's like, come on, man. Man, come on, man. This is our after party. He goes, I can't help you, man. No hats. And it was kind of a more upscale spot. Luckily, I had I didn't have jeans on, but I had some kind of black slack sweat thing. And then I didn't have a hat on, so I was good. I had a collared shirt. Brad came looking real hip hop, and he goes, no hat. So Brad took his hat off. He still had the Scully on. And the door guy literally goes, bruh, take the Scully off. And Brad's like, come on, man. And Brad, keep in mind, he had the little baby hair coming down the side. So I just thought he had a full head of hair. And he's got pictures on his social media where he had a full head of hair. So I'm thinking he got a full head of hair. Nah. That mug popped that Scully off, and everybody saw the George Jefferson. And the bouncer goes, put the hat back on. I've never seen a nightclub say, screw the dress code. He is not a gangbanger. He is not trying to break the rules. We get why you have the hat on. They told him, put the hat back on. Put the hat back on. And I went, ooh, because I didn't know. I told Brad, I go, what are you doing? Let it go. And he was like, man, the girls like the baby hair. I said, okay, when you bring your girl back to your place, I mean, what are you doing? He's like, keep the Scully on. I go, oh, you wilding right now. You wilding. You knocking down chicks with the Scully on? So anyways, when Druski released that sketch, I was like, I've been there with my road manager, Brad. Oh, now he shaved his head now. He's smart. He's just bald. And he looks better bald. Pause. Anyways, but oh my God. Before he went bald, he got a passport taken, right? Well, somebody got a hold of his passport. Somebody on the team got a hold of his passport, and they showed it to me, a picture of it. I said, ooh. And I said to Brad, I go, bruh. He goes, Brad don't get mad about a lot of stuff. He goes, don't you fucking release that. He said, I'll punch in your face. I'll kick your ass if you release. I said, Brad, I would never. But I deleted it because I didn't want anybody else to find it. But that dang passport picture, that was George Jefferson's nephew. But it's true. With the hat on, Brad was looking 25. He took that off, 50. Immediately. So when Druski did that, I was like, yo. Not only was it funny, I'd seen it play out in real life just like his sketch. Trying to get in the club, and then the guy said, take your hat off. He goes, man, I'm going to leave. I don't even want to be here. I was like, oh my God, I lived it. So yeah, shouts out to Druski, bro. And shouts out to Brad for letting me share that story numerous times. You've helped the podcast tremendously. I'll probably share it again in a couple years. I don't know. You got old listeners, you got new listeners. I don't know. I might share it again. So speaking of stories, I read something about Tracy Morgan. Now, Tracy Morgan is one of my favorite people on the planet. And because this is why I love Tracy Morgan. He's authentically him. A lot of people will change their personalities depending on what room they're in. So like if I'm in a room with Barack Obama, and most people, if you're in a room with Barack Obama, you're going to act differently than if you're in a room with Flava Flav. Or if you're in a room with Warren Buffett, you probably will act differently than if you're in a room with just your homeboys from high school. Not Tracy. Tracy's the same no matter what room you're in. And I've seen it time and time again. I've been in rooms with him. I've been in pitches with him. I've been on set with him. I've been at nightclubs with him. He's the same every time. He don't care who you are. He don't care how much money you got, how much power you got. He don't care how broke you are and how little power you got. Tracy Morgan's going to be the same. And the biggest regret I've had in my career, not the biggest regret I had in my career, but one of the biggest regrets I ever had was when he got in the wreck in Delaware, 2014. And they didn't know if he was going to make it. I remember like the week after the wreck when they said I think he was still in the coma, but it looked like, it was starting to turn his way. I presented the BET Awards. It was me and Mike Tyson was presenting. And I'll never forget it. We was doing one of the rap awards and Drake got it. We knew Drake wasn't there, so we were accepting it for him. The one thing I forgot to do was shout out Tracy Morgan. And nobody did that night. And I really think all of us missed the mark on that BET Awards of not shouting Tracy out. And it didn't hit me. One, I was going to do it. And then Mike Tyson kind of went off script of what was on the teleprompter. And it kind of threw me because I had to ad lib with Mike now. So me and him are having a nice little back and forth at the BET Awards. But through all that, my whole plan was to take the award. Hey, Drake's not here. We set this on this behalf. And I was going to say, Tracy Morgan, we're thinking about you, baby. Get better. The world needs you. Something like that. And it just through Mike going off script and me keeping up with them and going back and forth, I just slipped my mind. And then nobody mentioned it, that whole BET Awards. And I was like, I wish somebody would have said something that day. And looking back on it, I was like, dang, we really missed the mark on that one because Tracy is such a big part of the culture, so to speak. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew. Now look, Jack wouldn't have to climb the beanstalk if he had his own stalk. He had his own stalk with the beans. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? I think it did. You know, if it did make sense, you'd be on Blue Chew. If it doesn't make sense, you're probably not on Blue Chew. So, I've tried it. I like it. It helps. I could get all, whoa, but it's like, no, just so confident. And that's all you want when your doors get closed and you're with your significant other or others. Oh, you want that Blue Chew, baby. Comes through every time. So, listen, enough about me. Guys, this isn't just about performance. This is about legacy. I'm talking about our third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. You know, when you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. And you hear that phone? That's my girl trying to text me as I'm doing a Blue Chew ad. Tell me what ain't on her brain. Tell me life. Your phone hears everything, and I think she heard it. So we got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code GETSOME at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety information. And as always, a big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Rula. Now listen, at times in our lives, we all just need somebody to talk to. And somebody not in our so-and-so inner circle. I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to share stuff with our friends. And our friends are usually going to side with you. Every now and then you get that friend that'll give you the unbiased, hard truth. But for the most part, you know, friends are going to put their input in, and sometimes it can be good and sometimes it can be not so good. So it's very important, you know, if you're having things you want to talk about or you're stressed about or, you know, just want to get some stuff off your chest, it's important to have somebody to talk to. Now with Rula, you can find the right therapist for whatever you need to talk about. It has a network of over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists nationwide. And they're going to, you know, you tell them what you want. They're going to personalize it. They're going to help you find a solution, help you find the answers to your needs, your preferences, and everything else. So, you know, Rula is committed to supporting you and staying with you every step of the way on your mental health journey. Thousands of people have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey toward improved mental health and overall well-being. So right now, head on over to Rula.com/Getsome and get started today. After you sign up, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Go to RULA.com/Getsome and take the first steps towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who does care. Rula. So I read this an article, and I'll tell you why it struck home with me so much. Because I was with him when he got this part. So this is a true story about 30 Rock and how Tracy got the part and how they made it Tracy Morgan. And in the show, he was Tracy Jordan, I believe, right? Tracy Morgan crashed through NBC's expectation the first week of 30 Rock when he ignored the polished script, threw it on the floor, and delivered an improvised rant so wild and perfect that Tina Fey grabbed the table and whispered, "That's the entire show." Everything about Tracy Morgan broke the rules. Network comedy was supposed to be restrained, safe, sanded down. Morgan arrived like a controlled detonation. He showed up to the first table read with a pocket full of loose candy, a handwritten notebook labeled Tracy Jordan Brain, and a promise to Faye, "If you let me be me, I'll give you something nobody else can." He proved it instantly. During early rehearsals, directors tried to guide him toward cleaner jokes. Morgan didn't budge. In one session, he stopped mid-scene, pointed at a prop sandwich, and launched into a full monologue about why Tracy Jordan only trusts sandwiches made by left-handed wizards with gentle energy. None of it was in the script. Every writer dropped their pen. Fade told the crew keep the cameras rolling whenever he opens his mouth. The show's most iconic chaos often came from Morgan's instincts. The werewolf bar mitzvah bit came from him casually singing nonsense between takes. The "I am a Jedi" rant was pure improv. Even his wardrobe fights became legend. One day, costume designer suggested a subtle outfit. Morgan reached into a rack, pulled out a neon tracksuit and gold chains, and said, Tracy Jordan doesn't do subtle. Subtle's for people with savings accounts. Behind the scenes, he carried real pain. Years of grinding stand-up gigs, his father dying young, his own struggles with addiction, he hid none of it. On quiet nights during season 3, he sat with Fey and told her stories that shaped him, the hardship, the hunger, the survival. She later said those conversations built half of Tracy Jordan's emotional backbone. And when the NBC execs panicked about whether Morgan's unpredictability was too risky, Fey shut it down with one line. You don't contain Tracy, you steer him. By the finale, Tracy Jordan was a cultural earthquake, and the network executives who doubted him were begging for more scenes. Tracy Morgan didn't just elevate 30 Rock, he detonated it into something only he could make unforgettable. And I'll tell you why when I read that, I wanted to talk about Tracy on my podcast, because when he got 30 Rock, we were shooting Little Man. This is 2006. 2005, 2006. We were shooting Little Man in Vancouver. I had a TV deal with Fox, and writers were emailing me. And then while I was shooting Little Man, I was also putting together a TV show that never went anywhere. I walked away from this pilot, and I'll tell you why. But as they were sending me the scripts and the rough drafts and everything, I was hanging out with Tracy all the time because we were at this place called the Sutton Hotel. And there are these little apartments in Vancouver. And if I was in 1405, Tracy was in 1505. He was literally one room above me, the exact same, one floor above me, the exact same room. And so he would always call me to come watch Monday Night Football, hang out, whatever. And so, that was I think when you shoot movies, certain people you hang with during the shoot. I remember Little Man. I was hanging out with Jamie. I mean, not Little Man, but Held Up. I hung out with Jamie Foxx the whole time. We like the same things. Well, a lot of the same things. He does like some white girls. I like black girls, but he likes all girls, but I was pretty much black. Anyways, that's who I hung out with. With Little Man, it was Tracy. Think Like a Man, we all kind of hung out together. Even like Welcome to Sudden Death. I was hanging out with Michael Jai White most of my off time. Just you click with some people on set, and that's who you hang out with. Dottie and Soul, I was David Koechner. That was my guy. We'd just go out to eat afterwards and hang out. So with Little Man, it was me and Tracy hanging out most of the time in Vancouver. And I remember I'd always be showing them, like, hey, here's the show I'm trying to put together. I was a garbage truck driver in Indianapolis, and it was an interracial show, and blah blah blah. It didn't go anywhere, but I kept saying, I'd run stuff by Tracy, and Tracy would play out the whole scene in his hotel room. Like, hey man, what if we're on the back of the truck? And Tracy would literally get out of his chair and act like he was on the back of a garbage truck, and he'd be looking at me, yo Gary. What you think of Miss Johnson? She got a fat ass, right? Saying shit like that. Like, I love driving by her house. She comes out in a little nightgown. I like it. Shit like that. He just making shit up. And I was like, yo, if the show gets picked up, man, I'm going to bring you in. He goes, yeah, done. We're good. I'll come in, Gary. I love you. So why I'm putting this show together, and I had to, before I even started shooting Little Man, I had already met with Fox. We had to put a TV deal together. Met with writers, we pitched the show. It was like, I had already been through like 10 steps trying to get the show together. And Tracy's got, SNL's over. He's got Little Man. Right when we're wrapping up Little Man, this is like January, February of 2006, Tracy says, yo, Tina Fey just called me. She's got some show on NBC. She's going to bring me in. I go, oh, that'd be awesome. That show was Little Rock. That show was 30 Rock. I just remember him telling me, yo, Tina Fey just called me. She got a show. I'm going to come in. I was like, oh, it'd be awesome. He's like, I don't really know what it's about, but I'm going to go in. Tina's my girl. So I just remember I was shooting this thing called Stand Up for Family. And it was me, Tony Rock. Was Bill Bellamy? I think Bill Bellamy. Dean Edwards, We all sat in the green room. This is probably 10, 12 years ago. Something like, God, little man was 19. That's crazy. We were in the green room and somehow we got on Tracy Morgan. It was 45 minutes later. Everyone was still sharing Tracy Morgan stories because they just get wilder and wilder. And I'm not going to share the wild stories. That's something I like to keep between me and my industry cohorts. But a few stories I can share. That is Tracy Morgan in a nutshell. One night we all went out in Vancouver. All the Wayans went out with us that night. There was like 2 or 3 nights where the whole cast got together and we got it in. We was partying. I'm talking everybody. Keenan, Sean, Marlon, all of us was partying. And we ended up back at Tracy's place that night. Not Keenan, but I know Damian Wayans was there. I know Craig Wayans was there. I know Sean was there for a second. I don't know if Marlon was there, but their assist, I don't want to call their assistants, their buddies that was helping them on set was there. So it was about, and then there were some girls in there. I don't know where the girls came from. There was always random girls because who doesn't want to, when you're shooting a movie, what girls don't want to go party with the movie stars, right? But it wasn't nothing wild like that. So we're all just sitting there talking. It's probably 2, 3 in the morning. And Tracy just starts snapping on me. And I've heard he does this with people. And I never had it happen to me, though. So to me, it was almost like a rite of passage. Like, oh, Tracy's going in. So he goes, Gary Owen. Fuck you, Gary Owen. Always talk about black women. My mother's black. Keep in mind, this is out of left field. We're all just kind of hanging out, talking about football, the set, life, you know. It's good vibes. And then Tracy's just on his couch. Fuck you, Gary Owen. Always talking about black. Mother's black. He goes, I'll call Lauren Michaels. 7 years on SNL. You'll never be on TV. I'll call Lauren Michaels 7 years, Gary. 7 years on SNL. And he's snapping on me, right? Boom, 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 boom. Craig Wayans kind of got up and was getting in between us. Now, keep in mind, I was never going to do shit. I was just taking it all in. So Craig kind of moved his chair, like moved over just in case he thought. Later he told me he thought I was going to get up and steal on Tracy. He wasn't worried about Tracy getting up. He thought Gary going to get up and fucking cold cock Tracy. And I was like, no, I was never going to do that, man. I'm chill. So Tracy just snapping on me about everything, right? And then ding, door rings. Room service. I'm not over exaggerating. 4 or 5 pizzas come in. The pizzas weren't that big. They were thin crust. And a gang of wings come in. And now everybody just eating. Tracy still entertaining, but still coming back and snapping on me. In the middle of snapping on me, Tracy goes, yeah, fuck you, Gary Owen. You want a slice? I was like, no, I'm good. In the middle of going in on me, he offers me a slice of pizza. What? Fuck you, Gary. Oh, you'll never be on TV. Hey, you want a slice? All right. With the eating, right? So I think we had to work the next day, but we had a late call time. That's why we were out late. So this is like Saturday. So Sunday, we weren't coming into like 3 or 4 o'clock. So everybody got to sleep it off and it was good. I got to set before Tracy. I just remember Tracy walks into the makeup trailer, kisses me on my forehead. He goes, we partied like rock stars last night. We partied like rock stars. He goes, yo, G, you my youth, kid. You my youth. I went in on you and you took it. Yo, I love you for that. I was like, what? I thought he would have forgot. I thought he was so drunk or messed up. He didn't remember what he did. No. In Tracy's own mind, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was saying. And he wanted to see my reaction. And I guess the way I reacted made him like me even more. Oh, yo, the kiss on the forehead killed. Yo, he was like, he didn't just come in. He came walking around the makeup trailer. Oh, you my youth, kid. You my youth. I went in on you and you took it. He goes, I love you for that. I was like, what? And that's when Craig told me the whole story. Craig was like, yo, I thought you was about to go and just jump up and knock him out. I go, no. I go, that's why I moved over a little bit to get him to. I said, no, man, I'm cool. He goes, I'm just playing safe because he was going in. I said, yeah, Craig, but I've heard that about him. I've heard he will snap on people and he doesn't really mean it. It's almost like he's doing some Denzel training day shit with eating a hawk. Let me see what I can get away with and see what I can't. You know, and I've heard stories about Tracy, but that's just one story. I could share 101. Okay, I'll share one more since we're here. Not long after we shot Little Man, probably a year later, Tracy came to Cincinnati at the Funny Bone. And I just remember when we were in Vancouver, everybody knew Tracy Morgan used to always take his shirt off. Every time he would go out, he'd take his shirt off. So we in Cincinnati, I'd take him out. We go to some night. It's like a Thursday night. We go to some lounge nightclub type shit, right? Tracy takes his shirt off. He's got this big chain on. And I said, Tracy, why you always take your shirt off? He goes, yo, money comes and goes. But if I take off my shirt, that's my move. It doesn't matter if I got money or not. That's my move. People know it's Tracy Morgan. So I take my shirt off. That's my move. I was like, okay. So we're in this nightclub. They got this little dance floor. I think it was called Nada in Cincinnati. And at that time, there was a bunch of Bengals there. It was Thursday night. You know, there's girls there. It was a spot to be for, you know, the 35 and under crowd in Cincinnati that were doing something. And I remember at one point, Tracy was standing there and he started moving down he acted like he was on first base. He was taking a lead off. I looked at him and then he slides back in like somebody threw the ball to first base to pick him off. And he slid back in, he held his hand up and I went, safe. Now I'm acting like the umpire. And he gets up, acts like he wiped himself off. Long story short, 5 minutes later, there's a full-on fake baseball game going on in the nightclub. I mean, one of the guys there was a catcher, there was a pitcher, there was first, second, and third base, there was a shortstop. Tracy acted like he was running around the bases in the club. People acted like he was throwing them out. Somebody was at the bat. I was the umpire. It was like, how did this happen? And only Tracy could pull that off. I was like, he just got a fake baseball game going in the middle of a lounge nightclub where Tracy's running this small circle around the bases, sliding on the floor, shirt off. I was like, it was the wildest and one of the funnest nights I've ever had. We probably played that fake baseball game for 10 minutes, which is an eternity in a nightclub with music's playing. And everybody was just surrounded because it was Tracy Morgan. Everybody was getting out of the way. And no, it was Tracy Morgan. It was a couple of the Bengals too. So if you're just there, think about this. This isn't late. This is like 10, 11 at night. You just, let's go to Nada tonight. Hang out. It's Thursday. See who's there. You walk in. You see Tracy Morgan. You see, I don't know if it was Ocho Cinco at the time, Hushmanzada, Levi Jones, Rudy Johnson. That type of people was in there, all playing a fake baseball game. And I don't think Chad or TJ was there, but it was like Kelly Washington and Tad Perry, that type of Bengals was on that team at that time. I do think Rudy Johnson was there. I think Rudy was there. But we're all just playing like a fake baseball game. It was the wildest shit. And only Tracy Morgan pulled that off. So, yeah, when I saw the article about 30 Rock, it just brought back all those memories of him trying to help me with my show. And I put in all this work to put it together. And Tracy just got a phone call from Tina Fey. And I go, this is entertainment business, man. You can be busting your ass to put a show together. It doesn't go anywhere. Or you can be sitting around and get a phone call. You just never know. And the reason I walked away from that show, that was a Fox pilot, is because when the show finally got written and the guy sent me the final script, a couple of things bugged me about the script that I walked away from. One, everything was racial in it. Every comment, everything had race. And I go, dude, when you're married to a black girl, race doesn't come up. It's not like you walk in the house and go, hey, there's my black wife. There's Gary. He's white. It just doesn't come up. Like, your wife's your wife. When you're on the outside, it might come up, but in the house, it doesn't really come up. Just like now, I got mixed kids. I'm like, oh, look at my mixed kids. I got mixed kids. No, I got kids. Happen to be mixed. They made it very racial. And I remember I knew I was going to walk away was when they had a scene where me and my wife was arguing. and then it was going to cut, and we come back and it's clear we made up and we had sex afterwards. And I made a comment like, yeah, once you go white, you know you've been like done right, or sex was right. It was some kind of corny rhyme, and I went, I would never say this. Nobody would say this in the world. And then he's like, no. I was like, mm-mm. And they wanted to put a Jewish guy on the garbage truck because the two writers were Jewish. I go, dude, this is Indianapolis, Indiana. The Jewish people aren't out there like that. Like LA, New York, yeah, that makes sense, but not Indianapolis. I go, it just doesn't happen. You don't see like Jews with the yarmulkes on the back of garbage trucks. I've never seen it in the Midwest. And they were just really forcing the racial and this Jewish character onto the show. And I go, that doesn't make sense. So I just let them walk away. And I remember even some people at Fox was like, no, Gary, just come on, shoot the pilot. Once you get on set and you're working the pilot, then we can make some changes. Let's just get this pilot shot. Cause I had a pilot deal. They wanted to shoot the pilot. I said, I can't. I don't believe it. If you're not going to have them change the script, I don't think. And here's the thing. If I would have did that show and it would have got backlash, I'm the one that would have got the brunt of it. It wouldn't have been the writers. It wouldn't have been Fox. It would have been me, because it was my show. It was, I don't know if it's called the Gary Owen Show. It was come like Gary, but I would have got the heat, and I go, not going to do it. So that's why I walked away from it. I just say, I can't in good conscience do some project like this. It's going to make me look bad. It's going to fail the way they're doing this. Trust me. I do shows for Black people all the time. I know how to push an envelope without going too far. And I know it's going to seem pandering and could be deemed offensive, but more pandering. I don't want to do that. So I walked away from it. So, yeah. So anyways, listen, anyone asking about my tour dates, I always say, and we're going to put the graphic here at the bottom, www.garyowen.live always has my tour dates on it. Always. That's the only place you got to go to, nowhere else. And we update it weekly. So I got the tour starting in January. I'm going to be all over the country. So Dallas, New Year's Eve. San Antonio, we just added a second show at the Tobin Center, December 30th. New Orleans, December 28th. Mobile, Alabama, December 29th. St. Petersburg, December 26th. Jacksonville, December 27th. So just go to GaryOwen.live and it's all there. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Getsome Podcast. We'll see y'all next week.
This motherfucker Gary.